Dear students, welcome back. Now we are going to see characteristics of a typical rib. A typical rib is a curved, angulated and twisted bone. Curved, angulated and twisted bone. Okay. Now in this we are going to see left side typical rib which can be seen from posterior to anterior side. So this is the posterior aspect and this part is the anterior aspect. Okay, from posterior view we are viewing this bone posteriorly, from posterior to anterior aspect. Okay, now parts of the rib consists of anterior end, posterior end and shaft. It consists of what? Anterior end, posterior end and the shaft. Okay, now we are going to see the anterior end. The anterior end is recognized by the presence of a small cup-shaped depression. It is having a small cup-shaped depression which articulates with the lateral end of the corresponding costal cartilages. So this is the anterior end. It is having cup-like depression which is going to articulate with the corresponding costal cartilage. For example, this one is the third rib, so it is articulating with the third costal cartilage, that of the sternum. Okay, so this is about the anterior end. Now coming to the posterior end, the posterior end consists of head, neck and the tubercle. It consists of three parts. The posterior end consists of three parts: head, neck and tubercle. Now coming to the head bears two small facets separated by a transverse ridge called crest. So the head is having two facets, small facets, which are separated by a transverse ridge called as crest. So the lower one is the larger facet when compared to the upper. So upper facet is the smaller facet and the lower one is the larger facet. So larger facet articulates. So this one articulates with the vertebral column. So the posterior end head articulates with the vertebral column. So this lower end articulates. The lower larger facet articulates with the superior costal facet of the corresponding numerically corresponding vertebrae. We can call it as numerically corresponding vertebrae. That means if it is the third rib and this lower facet, this lower one is going to articulate with the superior facet of the third thoracic vertebrae. Superior costal facet of the third thoracic vertebrae. Whereas this upper smaller facet articulates with the inferior costal facet of the above vertebrae. That means this one is the second and this one is the third, because this is third rib. So this is articulating with the third, whereas the upper smaller facet articulates with the inferior demifacet of the above vertebrae. This transverse ridge articulates with the intervertebral disc. In between two vertebrae we are having intervertebral disc. This ridge attaches to the intervertebral disc. Okay, so now coming to the attachments of the head. So this head gives attachment to the ligaments of that particular joint. So because of these articulations, it forms costovertebral joint. So because the head articulates with that of the vertebrae, forming costovertebral joint. So these are synovial joints. So if it is synovial joint, definitely it is having a joint cavity and also capsular ligament. So that one is having a capsular ligament and other also some other ligaments which reinforce the joint. So along its anterior border of the head, it gives attachment to the radiate ligament. And this crest, the crest, it gives attachment to the intra-articular ligament. So intra-articular ligament, so it is attaching with the intervertebral disc. So the crest and the disc are attached with the intra-articular ligament. Actually this ligament is present inside the joint capsule. Okay, and then the margins of this joint gives attachment to the capsular ligament. Okay, so this is about the attachments of the head. Okay, so the posterior end consists of head, neck and tubercle. The head bears two small facets and separated by a transverse ridge called crest. The lower larger facet articulates with the numerically corresponding vertebrae, whereas the upper smaller facet articulates with the above vertebrae of the corresponding vertebra. Okay, and the crest lies opposite to the intervertebral disc. And attachments, if you see the attachments, radiate ligament is attached on the anterior border of the head, whereas the intra-articular ligament gives attachment to the crest as well as the intervertebral disc, and the margins of this head gives attachment to the capsular ligament. So this is about the head. Now coming to the neck. Neck is a flat portion. So here, from here to here, this is the neck, is a flat portion. It is 1 inch long. Adjoining the head, flat portion adjoining the head, which is about 1 inch long, which lies in front of the transverse processes of numerically corresponding vertebrae. So for example, if you are taking this one is third, so here you are having third vertebrae, so pedicle and then transverse process you will have. So which the transverse process is present here. In front of the transverse process, this neck is present. In front of the transverse process, the neck is present. And it possesses two surfaces, anterior surface and posterior surface, two borders. So anterior surface, posterior surface, two borders, upper border and the lower border. Now we will see what are the attachments to the surface. Anterior surface faces upwards, so which is present on that side, isn't it? So anterior surface faces upwards and forwards, and which is smooth. And a ridge on this surface, a ridge is present on the anterior surface, gives attachment to the internal intercostal membrane. So normally the internal intercostal muscle ends up as a internal intercostal membrane. That one is getting attached on the anterior surface of the neck of that rib. Okay, and coming to the posterior surface, so anterior surface is facing upwards, then posterior surface facing downwards, backwards, and it is rough. Posterior surface is rough, anterior surface is smooth, posterior surface is rough and faces downwards and backwards, and which are pierced by numerous vascular foramen. So this posterior surface gives attachment to the inferior costotransverse ligament. So because it is facing downwards, isn't it? So normally the transverse process is having a facet which articulates with the tubercle of the rib, forming costotransverse joint. For that joint, this ligament is giving support. So that ligament is called as costotransverse ligament. So costotransverse means from rib to transverse processes a ligament is attached. So they are called as costotransverse ligament. So on the posterior surface, inferior costotransverse ligament is attached. Now coming to the upper border is prominent. Upper border is prominent, called crest of the neck, which gives attachment to the superior costotransverse ligament. Coming to the lower border is smooth and rounded, gives attachment to the internal intercostal membrane. The lower border gives attachment to the internal intercostal membrane. Okay, anterior surface as well as the lower border of the neck gives attachment to the internal intercostal membrane. Keep it in mind. So when we are dealing with internal intercostal muscle, you have to remember this point. Okay, this is about the neck which is present on the posterior end. Now coming to the tubercle. So this is the tubercle. So this tubercle is situated on the posterior surface of the rib. So it is situated on the posterior surface of the rib at the junction of neck and shaft. This is the shaft, isn't it? And here is the neck. So at the junction of neck and shaft, you'll have the tubercles. Okay, this tubercle consists of two parts. So medial articular part. So this one is the medial articular part, and next one is the lateral non-articular part. So this one is medial articular part and lateral non-articular. This medial articular part articulate with the transverse process of the numerically corresponding vertebrae. This lateral non-articular part gives attachment to the lateral costotransverse ligament. So the tubercle is articulating with the transverse process, forming costotransverse joint, and this joint is reinforced by three costotransverse ligaments. So now you people know that the superior costotransverse ligament is attached in the upper border, and the inferior costotransverse ligament is attached on the posterior surface of the neck, and the lateral costotransverse ligament which is present on the lateral non-articular part of the tubercle. So all these three ligaments supports the costotransverse ligament. So when we are dealing with costotransverse joint, you have to remember this ligaments. Okay, now coming to the shaft. So now coming to the shaft is thin and flat. The shaft is thin and flat. It is curved. So it is curved, bent and twisted on itself. It is curved, bent and twisted. So curved and bent is not having a big difference, but it is twisted. It is twisted. So how can you define this bone as twisted? Means when you place this rib on an horizontal surface, this anterior end and posterior end, both ends will not touch the flat surface. So only one end will touch and other end will be on air. So because of that thing, we can say that this rib is twisted. This rib is twisted. So the shaft is thin and flat. It is curved, bent and twisted on itself. So it possesses two surfaces and two borders. The two surfaces are external surface and internal surface. You can see from the posterior aspect, this is the external surface, it is ending here, and the internal surface we can see here. So we can't see the internal surface on the posterior aspect, and also we can't see the external surface on the anterior aspect. We can see the internal surface here. Okay, now, and two borders, one is the superior border and inferior border. It is having superior border and inferior border, superior and inferior border. Okay, now coming to the external surface is convex and smooth. External surface is convex and smooth. A rough ridge crosses this surface at some distance from the tubercle. So indicating that angle, indicating the angle of rip. So a rough ridge crosses the surface at some distance from the tubercle. From the tubercle will have an angle. So indicating the position of angle. So it is having a ridge over here, and it gives attachment to the thoracolumbar fascia and also lateral fibers of the iliocostalis thoracis muscle. So that one is a deep back muscle. Deep back muscle, iliocostalis, that is a one part of the erector spinae muscle. Okay, so simply you can say there is ridge, this angle of rib gives attachment to the thoracolumbar fascia and the iliocostalis thoracis muscle. And now the area between the tubercle and the angle gives attachment to the levator costae muscle, gives levator costae muscle as well as the sacrospinalis muscle. Okay, this is about the external surface. And also another important feature of this external surface, when you come to the sternal end, so this is the sternal end. So external surface means which is present on that side. So near the sternal end of this external surface, an indistinct line separates the origins of external oblique and serratus anterior. We know that from first to eighth rib gives origin to the serratus anterior. That means a line is present here, an oblique line, isn't it? So behind the oblique line, so it gives from first to eighth rib, it gives origin to serratus anterior. From fifth to 12th rib, it gives origin to the external oblique muscle, that is an abdominal muscle. Okay, and also behind the line from 9th to 10th, it gives attachment to the latissimus dorsi. So because we can't see on the anterior external surface, I have mentioned here. Okay, now coming to the internal surface. So this is the internal surface. So here we can't see the internal surface in this here. So internal surface is smooth, and it has a groove. This groove is called as costal groove. It lodges intercostal vein, artery and the nerve. The same way vein, artery and nerve from above downwards. So the same way these vessels, neurovascular bundle we can call it as, so that is vein, artery and nerve are arranged in this manner from above downwards. This groove gives origin to the internal intercostal muscle. This groove gives origin to the internal intercostal muscle. The upper edge of the groove gives origin to the intercostalis intimus muscle, that is the innermost intercostal muscle. The upper edge of the groove gives origin to the intercostalis intimus muscle. Now coming to the borders, the superior border is rounded. The superior border is rounded and has two lips. The superior border has two lips, inner border and the outer border. Outer lip we can call it as the inner lip gives insertion to the internal intercostal and intimae muscle, and outer lip gives insertion to the external intercostal muscle. So you can see here that each rib will have in between two ribs will have intercostal spaces. So the intercostal muscles are present in between the two ribs. So we are having 12 pairs of ribs up to 10 pairs. So we'll have intercostal muscles, isn't it? So this intercostal muscles, with small muscles in between two ribs, they will get originated from the above rib and getting inserted in the on the lower rib. Okay, that is the thing we are seeing now here. So the costal groove is giving origin to the internal intercostal muscle. So this is getting inserted on the superior border of the next rib. Okay, so don't get confused. So one rib will have both the origin as well as insertion of intercostal muscles, internal intercostal as well as external intercostal. Superior border is rounded and got an inner and an outer lip. Inner lip gives attachment to the insertion of internal intercostal and intimae muscles. Outer lip gives insertion to the external intercostal muscle. Now coming to the inferior border is sharp border, forms the lower margin of the costal groove, which gives origin to the external intercostal muscle, Now you can see, so the lower borders and the costal groove will give origins of intercostal muscles, and they are going to inserted on the another rib, superior border of the another rib. These two muscles are getting inserting. Okay, one is inner lip and outer lip. So these are the features of the typical rib as well as the attachments. Okay, such kind of features we can see from 3rd to 9th ribs. 3rd to 9th ribs we are having such kind of similar features. Okay, so this is about the description of the typical rib. Thank you.